Well, we're back again. We're gonna try and tackle some of the things on the CR today. We're gonna try and knock out throwing the Kickstarter, the shifter, throwing those on, and along with all the miscellaneous swing arm hardware, and then we're gonna throw in some steering stem bearings today as well. So we're gonna start finally putting this thing back together. I've been ordering parts like every time I get paid recently, so trying to get everything in for it. So from last time, this parts list was a lot longer, so we got to take some things off there, which feels pretty good. Still got a little bit to go though. We ended up prioritizing them, 1, 2s, and 3s. So, list them as what's needed before the other. So we're gonna try and get those knocked out, get those parts in. So we're gonna start with swapping out the Kickstarter, but before we just swap it out, Hunter picked up some Prime MX wheels for the buffer over there. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this shifter up and get her looking right. So we didn't really show the Kickstarter beforehand, but it looked similar to this one, just dull. And after hitting it with those Prime MX wheels, shine it up a good bit, you can see a clear difference between the two. So it's just nice little touch, cleaning it up before we throw it on. This bike's been apart so long, so I mean, might as well just continue to try and do stuff the correct way and make it as nice as we can with the funds and resources that we have. So I think it's about time to throw this on and throw a Kickstarter on or a shifter on as well. So we'll hop over to the CR and get to doing that. So I'm gonna pull this Kickstarter off and swap in the new one.
Dude, I think you need to do some socket spinners.
I do. Some socket spinners would be real nice. Come on.
Jesus Christ.
Came off easier than I thought after that. Dude, this bike is filthy though.
It is, dude. You need to clean this thing.
I know. I need to give it a good wipe down.
That's what happens. Yeah, when it sits for 3 years.
Yeah. When you let something sit in a garage for 3 years, I mean, fuck. It happens to get dirty.
Crusty, just like you.
Yeah. We got a problem.
What? Is it different?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. That doesn't fit. But we could probably we can see it.
Swap them out.
Yeah.
All right, little problem solving.
So the shifter that I just cleaned up ended. So the Kickstarter that we just cleaned up, turns out it was actually a 125 Kickstarter. So that's fun because it's smaller in length and width. So Hunter just went and cleaned up the old 250 one, and the reason I bought this one was because it needed a rebuild because it was a bit sloppy, and it still is after I swapped the decent internals from this 125 one into the 250 one. But yeah, so I bought the wrong part.
What's the moral of the story, Brendan?
Don't buy parts when you're drunk.
What happens when you do?
Well, what happens when you do is you end up with a CR125 shifter and 2 front hubs because Hunter told me, hey, this is the hub you need. So drunk me just went, all right, I'll buy it. Well, now I got 2 front ones, and I decided I'm gonna get completes. So these are paperweights at this point.
Still not a shifter.
Did I say shifter again?
You did, yeah.
My bad, Kickstarter. You guys can use your eyes and figure out what it is. It's a guessing game now, I guess.
It's been a long day.
It has.
Long week.
Yeah. So let's try this again. Let's throw the old CR250 Kickstarter on here with a new to me rebuild in it. So yeah, let's just get this done with. I mean, it's still got a little play. It's better than it was though. So that shifter I've been talking about and calling this Kickstarter, let's go on that side and put that on real quick. So I was talking about this Kickstarter throw on. I ended up picking up
Shifter.
It's just one of those days, dude. Okay, well, I've been talking about this shifter. I ended up picking up a Tusk one, so we're gonna throw that on here right quick. So figured out the debacle with the Kickstarter, and we got the shifter.
Oh yeah, I forgot to show.
Yeah, we got the Kickstarter mounted up. Clearance is a little tight, but you know, it's all right. It'll wear its own groove and make its own clearance. Picked up a billet gas cap for this thing, so we're gonna swap that out. That's gonna look pretty sick. It's gonna be a nice touch once it's done. Hunter, if you want to pan over here, these are most of the OEM parts that I had to buy for the miscellaneous screws, washers, bolts, all that good stuff. I thought I lost all of the triple tree bolts, but I found them in a bag at my parents' place. And they're all rusted to shit, so some new ones are going in. Got the bolts and the somewhere in here. Oh, here they are. The washers for the chain slider. So we're gonna go ahead and start putting all this miscellaneous OEM parts back up onto this swing arm real quick. Get down on my knees.
You're used to that, aren't you?
Yep.
That's how you bought all these parts.
Just about to say, how do you think I got these parts?
Dude, I already know.
Yeah.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Catch me out on Michigan Ave, cuz.
Dog, I see you every day. Gotta work harder so you can get them wheels.
Yeah. Or you could just buy them for me. That's an option.
I think you'll be more satisfied if you do it yourself.
I'm telling you right now, I'll be way more satisfied if I just come home and you bought me wheels. Way more satisfied.
I want to get your hopes up, buddy.
So, thankfully, I've got 2 bolt kits. So we found some bolts that should work. They're a tad bit longer, but it should be fine. We have the steering stem bearings in. We left them a little loose at the moment until we get the forks and wheel mounted on it. And we'll snug everything down then. Just to clear up some space, I guess, out of my parts box, we're gonna throw these bolts in here. Well, it's been a couple days now. It's Sunday morning and we are out in the garage and we're about to tackle the fork rebuild. I cracked open the fork caps just so they'd be hand tight, which they're not now. There we go. So we're gonna take this top cap off and start draining some oil out of these. So this is gonna take a minute. So I will drain this one and then drain the second one as well. And we'll pick the camera back up once we get to the next step. So all the oil is drained out of the forks. The caps are just hand tight. So we're gonna go ahead and completely back out the compression and dampening screws. You're doing this, just make sure once they stop, like this one just did, don't force them. So you got your compression up top and your dampening at the bottom, right down here. All right, seems like that one was already backed out. Stay. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing to this other fork. Back out the compression screw, and there goes the screwdriver. And now to back out the dampening, which there was only like a 1/8 of a turn to back out on that. All right, so now that the compression and dampening screws are backed out, we're gonna go ahead and take out that nut right down there. I believe it's a 21 mil. So we're going to throw the socket, breaker bar, and use a pry bar so we can get some leverage while holding this fork. Can you guys see? Can you see that? Alright, so that one's cracked loose. Now on to the other fork. And that one's cracked loose as well. So we're going to completely remove this cap from the bottom of the fork. The cap was supposed to come off of here, but it's still attached. And you're supposed to have a little metal wedge to hold the shock down, keep the tension down. I do not have one of those, so we're going to just use a wrench for it. So compress that fork down, slide the wrench right on in there, and it'll stay where it needs to stay for the time being. Let's go ahead and grab a wrench for the bottom, and so I can take the top off. We got this top cap off, and this little pin right here is your adjuster for your compression. So we're gonna put this off to the side. I don't know if you guys are able to tell, on this. This side is round and this side is flat. So when reinstalling this rod has to be seated correctly, but that's not going to be an issue. So we have that off now. So since we have the cap off and the rod out of here, we can compress this fork and remove this wrench, and then we can take out the whole compression tube. Let's see, let's move this over. just removing the top cap so that this whole rod can come out, or this whole compression tube can come out. That is your whole compression tube right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get that cleaned up a little bit real quick. So at this point, it's time to remove the top cap and drain the oil out of here. So just gonna use a pair of channel locks to grip on to the bottom down here, along with a breaker bar to pop this cap off. A little too tight to get on myself real quick, so I'm gonna grab Hunter and get him to help out with this real quick. So we've got Hunter's help to get this top cap loose off of here. We're going to need to go grab him in a little bit when we do the same thing to the other fork. He is currently outside cleaning up his new, to him, 08 RM250. That thing's looking pretty fine. Alright, so this cap is loose now. Now we can drain what oil is in here. I did have some splooge out on me, so I'm not sure how much is going to be left in there. But one way to find out. So I guess actually first, before I just try and straight up drain it, you have to get this boy out of here. Yep, that was gonna be a mess. So we have that out. Gonna drain the fork oil in there. Set that up and let that drain for a while. Clean up the mess I just made on Hunter's whiteboard. I guess we shall rinse and repeat on the other fork until it is taken apart and draining like this one. So once we get both of them completely apart and drained, I'll pick the camera back up and we'll start cleaning the compression tubes up and swapping bushings and O-rings out from the new rebuild kit. So all the oil is drained out of the tubes and the compression rods. So now it's time to pop off the dust seal and then undo the retaining ring that is in there. So we're gonna slide that off, pop this retaining ring out, and then extend your tube most of the way and forcefully remove the seal. So now we're gonna clean the tube out, remove the old seals and bushings, and start throwing on new ones. So I have the fork cap assemblies off to the side here, and I'm going to switch out the bushings and the O-rings on these. Fairly simple. You match up what O-ring goes to the pre-existing one. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop the O-rings and the bushings off and get the new ones swapped on. I already have the upper and lower fork tubes nice and cleaned up, and they are ready for reassembly. So I'm gonna go ahead and tear these boys apart and put on the new O-rings and bushings, and then we can finally start reassembly of the shocks. O-rings are off. Now for the bushings. So let's see, I'm gonna line these up real quick. You can see these bushings have that gap in it. So all you gotta do is take a little flathead, turn your flathead sideways, and a little hard doing it while showing it to the camera. But you get the point. You just twist your flathead sideways and it expands these bushings so you can get them out. Got that wiped off and cleaned up a bit. The bushings are off along with the O-rings. This is a new one, so we're gonna go ahead and slap the new bushings on here along with the new O-rings. Alright, so this one is done. Now time to do the same process to the other one. I'll spare you from watching that. So it's time to remove the bushing from here along with the O-ring down here. So it's gonna be the same process of just splitting this bushing apart, pulling it off, and replacing with the new one, and then just taking off the old O-ring and replacing with a new one. Alright, so we got all of our seals and everything ready to go. On our seal driver. Should be enough to slide our locking ring in. So sometimes those locking rings don't like to seat all the way if you haven't drove that seal in perfect. So I take it, give it a couple little taps, and then we're going to inspect it, make sure it's seated in there, and it looks to be fine. So then it's time for the dust seal. And that is all seated. So we've got everything in there, everything's seated. So we're gonna do the same process to the other fork. Now we have the fork tubes assembled. Now it's time to fill up our compression tubes. These 01 Honda CR250 compression tubes call for 6 ounces of oil. So we're going to put in 6 ounces of some Bel-Ray 5-weight oil. And then at the bottom, we're going to slowly move this rod to bleed out any of the air in the system once we fill this with 6 ounces of fork oil. So we're gonna go ahead and start doing that. after making a little makeshift T, say this was the compression tube, set it in there, let it hit the bottom, and then check the oil level that is at the bottom of the zip tie. I have it, oh well, I'm sorry. I ended up having to drain out a little bit of oil from the compression tube. It's got me sitting right at 0.4 of an inch. So that tube is all good, and I'm going to continue the rebuild process on that tube and put this cap back in, and then switch over to the next tube and rinse and repeat the process. So when installing the top of the fork cap, these bushings down at the bottom do need to be seated in this compression tube. So you'll see it doesn't really want to just slide down. So give it some love. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but I personally just heard some air come out of here. So it was finally seating in there, and now we can go ahead and tighten this top cap up. Now we can fill it with oil. Now the fork tube has oil in it. The only thing left to do with these shocks is set the rebound and compression for them. We're gonna go ahead and finish this shock rebuild off by adjusting our compression and dampening screws. So you're gonna wanna go ahead, turn them all the way in. So that won't go any further. So then my compression is 11 clicks out. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we're gonna do the same thing for the rebound. Run it all the way in. And I believe my rebound is, I believe the rebound is 14 clicks. Yes, yes it is. Oh, Hunter's got the pit bike fired up. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 clicks out. So now these forks are all set up. Well, time to do the other one. Alright, well, the camera died on me during that last clip of setting the rebound and compression screws on that second fork. But I just swapped in a new battery to finish this video off because my forks are done and we got all the miscellaneous hardware put on the swing arm. Last time we were out here, which was 2 days ago, I believe. So yeah, I'm going to be having some wheels come in the foreseeing near future. So that's gonna be pretty sweet. Gonna get some Warp 9 completes. And yeah, I believe that's it for this video. We are going to be working on the CR here again soon, putting on some more miscellaneous parts here and there as they come in, and putting on some of the parts that I have behind me up on the shelves. So hopefully you guys enjoyed tuning into this video. thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you on the next one.